Hi, I'm Teresa Tarmey and I'm here today with Dr. Emma Wedgeworth.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, very well.
Good. And today we're going to be talking about skincare tips for women who are approaching the 50s and also in the 50s too.
Your clinic is so beautiful. I'm
Thank
really
you.
enjoying being here. But I think adjusting your skincare according to your age and according to the different skincare is such an important thing. And I'm always going on about how your skin's so dynamic and how you need to change it around. I think 50s is such, that sort of time is such a big change in terms of hormones. And so it's a great time to take stock of skincare and really think about what we can do to optimise everything.
Yeah. I think also just going back to products and ages and changes and hormones, to use the same product over and over again sometimes, it's not to say that take that product out completely, but just sometimes kind of adapt things to the time of year even, let alone to the age, to the day, what's going on, whether you're hydrated, whether you're dehydrated, but that's kind of going off a little bit onto another subject.
I completely agree. But you also might use the same ingredient, but you might change the way you use it a little bit. So
exactly.
I think it's a really good thing to take stock at least every decade, if not more often.
So Emma, when people or when women are approaching, say, the 50s, what is actually happening to the skin in terms of the difference between, say, coming out of your 40s and into your 50s?
I think the thing is actually, even from your sort of late 20s onwards, the skin is actually aging, which I know is a really scary thought, but there's so much you can do about it. But over time, it's a combination of really of things that are going on in you, like the intrinsic factors, and that's partly down to our genes and partly down to our hormones, and that changes the way that our cells work over time, and it changes a bit about the structure of the skin. And then there are the extrinsic factors which cause our skin to age, and those are all the things from outside. And we know that like UV is probably the most significant thing which causes our skin to age from outside. But then there's all those other things like pollution, diet, smoking, alcohol, which can also really influence our skin. So that's why we start to see our skin really changing, and it goes from sort of late 20s onwards.
So Emma, what would you recommend for people going into the 50s, maybe like 30s, late 30s? I know what I would recommend, but yeah, you tell me in terms of products.
Yeah, I'm sure your clients ask you this all the time as well. Everyone says, when shall I start my anti-aging regime? And I'm always thinking that actually that should start sort of from the world goes. Sunscreen, for me, is the biggest thing that you can do to try and prevent skin aging. I don't know what you think.
Gosh, I mean, absolutely. SPF, 100%. I mean, I really think that, me personally, I use a factor 50 every single day because obviously we know, and most of the people know, that actually it's not just the sun that harms the skin, it's the other UV rays in there. So we absolutely need to be protecting against the sun, and that's my number one tip for sure for anti-aging.
Absolutely, and that starts in every decade. So I think sun protection, antioxidant protection against all the sort of pollutants and other things that start to damage the skin, because we know that it's not just UV, just as you were saying, there are all sorts of infrared, visible light, all of those sorts of things. So antioxidant protection is really important. And then I think as you get into your later 20s or 30s, things like retinoids are one of my top ingredients to try and help. Niacinamide. So there is so much that you can actually do to really ensure that your skin's healthy and aging in a healthy way. And I think in my clients, this is actually what people want. They don't want to look 20 when they're actually 60. They just want to look a really healthy version of themselves.
Yeah, a better version, absolutely. But also not to just overload the skin with products and keep it generally quite simple, right? Again, that's kind of another topic, but that's something that I'm really passionate about, is to not have 1,000 products that's overloading the skin.
And to make sure that each of your ingredient counts. And I think that's why it's really important to use things that actually are proven to be really effective.
Yeah. So Emma, when clients are approaching 50s, what is it that's changing in their skin, and obviously the body that then relates to the skin? What's changing and what's changing to make them look?
I think for a lot of women, and everyone's different, but for a lot of women, the 50s is a time where hormones really start to change. And the average age of menopause in this country is about 52. And so we start to see quite a dramatic change in hormones and a real drop in estrogen. And I think that's the real thing that changes within women's skin. We know that estrogen sort of impacts on most skin cells and most skin structures, so all sorts of different types of skin cells. It's very important in producing collagen, which is, as we know, the main sort of structure within our skin. It also helps to hydrate the skin, so it holds in water and helps our skin barrier function. And when we start to get into menopause and around that period, as estrogen drops, we get into a state known as estrogen deficient skin, and skin becomes a bit thinner, it can become slightly more wrinkly, it can get drier, rougher.
Yeah.
So in your 50s, it's really important to address all of the factors that we do with sort of aging skin, but also to try and target this estrogen loss that we start to see, because that can really improve skin around the perimenopausal and postmenopausal periods.
Yeah. So when clients are seeing all these, like you mentioned, lack of collagen and obviously loss of elasticity, dehydration, do you feel that even if, say, a client, because this is what a lot of clients would ask in treatment, is even if they're drinking lots of water, do you still feel that no matter what they're doing from the inside, obviously the hormones are changing, the menopause is kicking in, they're still going to see these results, i.e. like the dehydration? Would they really see that dehydration if, say, for example, they're drinking 3 litres of water because of this change? Definitely,
and I think even if you drink enough water, we know that you don't go on hydrating your skin, and that part of skin hydration is actually from the outside, or it's also about how your skin holds in water.
Yeah.
And so if your skin's not doing that as efficiently, it doesn't matter how much water you drink, it just will dry out very easily. So it's a real combination. You need to have enough water on board, but after a while, the body will just filter that out, and you also need to be putting the right things on your skin to keep it really well hydrated.
Right, interesting.
Yeah. And in terms of the collagen loss, I think that to try and target the estrogen deficiency, this new technology, this MEP technology, is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
I know that we're both really excited.
Super excited.
About
Yeah.
MPL and about how we can introduce this. And it's very clever, because actually this MEP, this methyl estradiol propanoate, binds onto the skin cells, and it mimics how estrogen would normally work on the skin cell, but it's not a hormone. And once it's done that, it basically goes away. So it's not anything that's going to be absorbed into the body, and so we don't have to worry about side effects with it.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at the studies, and I think they're really exciting.
Yeah,
so
very exciting. And still actually the only brand that's doing this MEP technology, which is great.
It's really novel and unique.
So MPL, exciting. I've actually been using it. I know I'm really young, and I'm hopefully not going even perimenopausal, but I'm never going to work with a brand or talk about a brand that I've not tried myself, and I have to say I really do love it. What I personally love about MPL from my own point of view and telling my clients is it only has 2 products, which I love. So, you know, again, going back to, I don't like heaps of products. One, it's confusing, people don't have the time, and it's just easy when you have all these ingredients that the skin needs in one product. So I'm a massive fan of the serum, actually.
I think it's a good point, because even though it has got the MEP technology for the estrogen deficiency, it's actually got loads and loads of other really useful ingredients. I love the serum. It layers so nicely. It's got that really sort of silky texture, but enough sort of hyaluronic acid and glycerin to actually get a bit of hydration. And then as well as the MEP, I also really like the niacinamide. I'm a massive fan of niacinamide.
It's in my products, and peptides. I'm obviously obsessed with peptides. That's one of the products that I've formulated myself. So I love that. Retinol. Going back to retinol, the fact that it just has that tiny amount in there. And really good for clients that don't actually want to try retinol or are a little bit scared of retinol. It's kind of, you know, snuck in there without people really getting any, well, not getting any side effects from the retinol.
I think that's one of the great things that I found, is how well it's been tolerated. And
Yeah.
because we were talking about how dryness and skin barrier function problems are really common in sort of menopause, actually having a product that works but it's really well tolerated is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's partly down to the niacinamide in it, because we know that helps to boost skin barrier function. It can help to increase tolerance for things, as well as actually having a really good effect on cell aging and helping to reverse sort of photo sun damage.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great. And like you said,
and also the HA in there is going to balance out
exactly. So
the dryness.
Exactly. Glycerin, HA, all of the sorts of things that really boost our natural moisturising factors.
Yeah.
And then I love the antioxidants in the morning, so the ferulic acid, superoxide dismutase, so all of those sorts of things, because I think the other thing is, as we get older, as well as having all those sorts of changes, our skin gets less able to protect against all the highly active molecules. So actually boosting our skin's ability to defend itself against further damage is really, really important.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, retinol, the superstar of skincare, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely love retinol.
Yeah, me too. Massive.
And the studies on retinol are so, just unarguably, it's one of the most effective things to
Yeah.
boost collagen function, to help speed up the way cells work, because we know that as time goes on, they just get really sort of lazy and they don't
Yeah.
work quite as well. So it really gives them a boost, evens out pigmentation. I mean, what doesn't it
Yeah,
do?
I know. What I love about retinol is, you know, it doesn't matter how much we know that, say for example, a hyaluronic acid would hydrate the skin, but when you can visibly see with, you know, you can't deny that when someone's using a retinol, it's visibly different. You know, you have a much clearer, nice, fresher skin.
Absolutely clearer, much improved in terms of fine lines, even pigmentation, tone, texture.
Absolutely, just speaks for itself,
I know.
right? What age would you say is a good age to start using Emapel?
I think it depends on the sorts of time where you start to notice changes in your hormones, and that can be really variable from person to person.
Yeah.
So if you're starting to notice that your periods are starting to become very irregular and you may be starting to get some sort of menopausal symptoms, then it's probably around that sort of time.
Yeah.
We know that in the first 5 years after menopause, you lose 30% of your collagen.
Which is huge, right?
Huge, right? So actually, in some ways, the sort of earlier you get in to try and address that, the better. So I wouldn't be waiting years and years and years to start it. I think once you're starting to notice that you've got changes, perhaps
Then why not try
exactly.
it?
You've been to your doctor, you've had some hormonal blood tests. I think actually that's a great time to start doing it. I've had really great feedback from my clients that have used Emapel. I'm sure you have as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I did a video before for Emapel, I explained how when we started working together with the brand, I did actually give the product to 10 clients who, you know, some were going through the menopause, but some were also potentially pre-menopausal, and amazing results. Yeah.
I think it's really well tolerated, which is so important. And either I sometimes use it by itself, but often I'm using it in conjunction with medical treatments, and I think it just layers beautifully and it just fits into a skincare regime really nicely. So I've had great feedback.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I think it's also really good for areas like under the eye, so all those difficult areas, you know, under the eye, the neck. I think the serum goes really nicely on those areas. So I'm using it more and more, which is great.
So Emma, shall we touch on the subject of like lifestyle when clients are coming into the 50s, and just, you know, not just about the skin, but how they can maybe change certain things that will help them even just feel better at that time that they're going through, really.
It's so important, isn't it? Because we know that skin is this huge mixture between, you know, what we put on the skin, but also what we do with our bodies generally. And I think it's a time where often, not always, but actually people are sometimes lacking a bit of confidence, things are changing, hormones are changing, it's sometimes quite a difficult time. So it's absolutely a brilliant time to make sure that you're doing all of those sort of lifestyle things to ensure that actually you're feeling really healthy and good about yourself. So what sort of things do I advise? Sun protection. I know I sound like a broken record.
No, I am on the same page,
but I think
100%.
Sometimes, if people have had a lot of sun exposure, they sometimes think, oh, well, I've had it now, I've done the damage, you know, it's too late to even do it. But actually, at your 50s, you've still got a lot of sun exposure to go. So to continue to be really careful, or to start, if you've never been careful in the past, to start being really careful, I think is really important. So that's one of the lifestyle factors. Diet, huge. And we know that certain products, so particularly refined sugars, fried foods, all of those can bind to your collagen, and it can cause it to degrade and to sort of lose quality more quickly than it otherwise would do. So making sure that you're minimising refined sugars.
And making you feel sluggish, which just shows in the face, right?
Definitely.
And
so minimising those sorts of things, and optimising lots of like fruits and vegetables, essential fatty acids and things like avocados and oily fish, nuts, seeds, all of those things I think are really important. Exercise, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, if you're feeling better, you look better, right?
So, so good
confidence,
for mental health, so good for boosting sort of blood flow,
sleep,
increasing,
lots of sleep, so important for me. If I don't get sleep, I'm puffy, I'm tired, I'm cranky, which is a lot. And you know, you puffy, you just don't look right, you don't feel right.
No, you're right. So I think skincare really important, but also as part of a lifestyle sort of overhaul. So, you know, sun, diet, exercise, sleep, avoiding smoking, minimising alcohol, all of the sorts of things that we want to do to keep our bodies sort of generally healthy.
Emma, thank you so much for coming over to my clinic and answering questions. It's great when I get to ask a dermatologist some questions, because you definitely know more about skin than me, and I really loved it. I think we've covered all the questions, guys. I hope we have, and I hope you've had lots of good tips there. So thank you so much for coming.
It's been great.